Hey everyone, welcome back to Receipts Ready. You're going to want to sit down for this one. So I found out my husband has been having an affair with his work best friend. And the way I found out, she sent me screenshots of their text messages herself. I know this sounds insane, but let me give you some background. I'm Sarah, 29F, married to Mike, 31M, for 3 years. About 8 months ago, Mike started talking about this new coworker, Jessica, 30F. She was going through a rough divorce, and Mike felt bad for her. At first, I thought it was sweet that my husband was being supportive. Jessica would text him about work stuff, then personal problems, then just random things throughout the day. Mike always left his phone face up so I could see her name popping up constantly. When I mentioned it seemed like a lot of texting, Mike got defensive. He said Jessica was just going through a hard time and needed a friend. He made me feel crazy for even bringing it up. Then the dinner invitation started. Jessica needed someone to eat with because she was lonely in her new apartment. Mike would come home 2 hours late because poor Jessica was crying about her ex-husband. I started feeling like the third wheel in my own marriage. Last month, things got worse. Mike started working late more often. Weekend work emergencies that only Mike and Jessica could handle. Business trips that somehow Jessica also needed to attend. Every time I expressed concern, Mike would turn it around on me. He said I was being controlling and jealous. That Jessica was just a friend, and I needed to trust him. He made me feel like I was losing my mind. Then, yesterday morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It said we needed to talk, and there were attachments. So, those attachments were screenshots of text messages between Mike and Jessica, and they were not work-related. The unknown number was Jessica. She said she felt guilty and needed to come clean. But the screenshots she sent me made my blood run cold. Messages from 2 months ago where Mike was complaining about our marriage, how I was boring and didn't understand him like Jessica did. Jessica responding that she wished she could find a man like him. Then it escalated. Mike telling Jessica he thought about her constantly. Jessica saying she felt the same way. Them making plans to meet up when I thought Mike was working late. The most recent messages were from last week. Mike telling Jessica he loved her, that he was going to leave me, that they could finally be together without sneaking around. I sat in my car outside my office reading these messages over and over. I felt like I was going to throw up. 8 months of being told I was paranoid and jealous, and I was right the entire time. Jessica's text said she wanted to meet in person to explain everything. She said there were things I needed to know that were worse than the screenshots. Things that Mike had told her about me. I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop near my work during lunch. I had no idea what else she could possibly tell me. The screenshots were already devastating enough. When I walked into that coffee shop, Jessica looked like she hadn't slept in days. She was fidgeting with her phone and kept looking around nervously. She started crying the moment she saw me. She told me she never meant for it to go this far. That it started as just friendship, but Mike pursued her relentlessly. She said she felt terrible, but she had fallen for him. Then she dropped the real bombshell. Mike hadn't just been bad-mouthing our marriage. He had been telling people at work that I was abusive, So, Mike had been telling their entire office that I was emotionally abusive and controlling. Jessica said everyone at work felt sorry for him. He told them I monitored his phone and didn't let him have female friends. That I threw things when I got angry and screamed at him constantly. None of this was true, but apparently the whole office believed it. Jessica said she initially got close to Mike because she felt bad for him. She thought she was helping him escape an abusive marriage. She had no idea Mike was lying about everything until she started developing real feelings. But here's where it gets worse. Jessica found out Mike was telling the same lies to other women. She discovered messages on his phone with at least 2 other female coworkers. He was using the same sob story about his abusive wife to get sympathy and attention. That's when Jessica realized Mike was manipulating everyone. She confronted him about the other women, and he completely lost it. He told her she was crazy and jealous, just like his wife. Jessica said she finally understood what Mike was really like. She felt horrible that she had helped him cheat and believed his lies about me. That's why she decided to come clean and send me the screenshots. We sat in that coffee shop for 2 hours, going through everything. Jessica showed me messages between Mike and the other women. She told me about all the lies Mike had spread about me at their office. It was humiliating and heartbreaking. But Jessica also gave me something else. She had been recording some of their phone conversations because she was starting to feel uncomfortable with Mike's behavior. In one recording, Mike was laughing about how stupid I was for not figuring out what was going on. I left that coffee shop with a USB drive full of evidence. Screenshots, recordings, even receipts from restaurants where Mike had taken Jessica when he told me he was working late. I spent the rest of the day making copies of everything and planning my next move. Mike had no idea that his work best friend had just blown up his entire world. When he came home that night acting completely normal, I almost lost it. So, Mike walked in the door asking about my day like nothing had happened. I just stared at him and asked how Jessica was doing. The color drained from his face, but he tried to play it off. He said Jessica was fine and asked why I was asking. I told him Jessica had sent me some interesting screenshots that day. Mike immediately went into damage control mode. He started with the usual lies about how I was misunderstanding everything, how Jessica was just a friend, and I was being paranoid again. That's when I pulled out my phone and started reading his text messages word for word. The ones where he said he loved Jessica and was going to leave me. Mike went completely silent. Then I told him about the recordings Jessica had made, about him laughing at how stupid I was, about the other women he was messaging, about all the lies he told about me being abusive. Mike tried to turn it around and blame Jessica for everything. He said she was crazy and obsessed with him, that she was lying to break us up because she was jealous. But I had the receipts for everything. I told Mike I wanted him out of the house that night. He could go stay with one of his other work friends since they all felt so sorry for him. Mike started crying and begging me to work things out. But I was completely done. The next day, I took copies of everything to a divorce lawyer. Turns out having proof of adultery really helps in divorce proceedings. I also sent the recordings to Mike's boss showing what he had been saying about me to their entire office. Mike got fired 3 days later for creating a hostile work environment. Apparently, lying about your spouse being abusive is not something companies want to deal with. Jessica transferred to a different department, and apologized to everyone for the drama. She also set the record straight about Mike's lies regarding me. The divorce was finalized last month. Mike had to pay me alimony and I got the house. He's now living in a studio apartment and working at a job that pays half what he used to make. Sometimes karma really does come through. And sometimes the other woman becomes your greatest ally. I honestly can't believe Jessica came forward with everything. It takes guts to admit you were wrong and help someone you hurt. Mike really thought he was so smart manipulating everyone. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for being here.